It is lovely, lovely to have you with us. Thank you.
My pleasure. I don't know how you can stay with a company with a Liverpool supporter, but
we're gonna come on to Liverpool. Don't worry, we'll give you your chance to talk about it.
Please do it. I've been preparing myself.
Excellent. We've got 20 minutes with you, and I just wanted to give you an idea. The average age of our audience today is probably around 10, 11, 12 years old. And before you start, I wanted to give you a little introduction. We've just shown them the clip of your Norwich goal, beating Rob Green at the near post. He was pretty much the Buffon of his era, Rob Green, but not anymore. And they say never meet your heroes, but today I'm meeting mine. We welcome today, quite simply, a footballing wizard and an icon of the game. He was a youngster at Napoli alongside Diego Maradona. He retired at Cagliari as one of Italy's 5 top free kick takers of all time. In November 1996, he came to the Premier League and became the catalyst for Chelsea's resurgence in the 1990s, with cup wins and goals galore, Chelsea's first winner of the Football Writers Association Player of the Year, and once voted Chelsea's greatest player of all time. 664 professional appearances and 200 goals. He was nicknamed the Magic Box of Tricks. Gianfranco, thank you for joining us. I'm going to let Walter crack on with a question.
Thank you very much.
Gianfranco, declarations, as you say, I am a Liverpool fan, but your popularity across teams who you were playing against made you such a special football player, loved by all. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into football and when did you know you were going to be a professional football player?
Well, the passion for football comes from my dad. My dad basically never played football, never saw a football game until he was 30 years old. Then one day he's been taken to a match, and that was something like something crazy for him. He became obsessed about it, to the point that he became the chairman of my local club. And so when I was 3 years old, he started taking me to all the training sessions, all the games. And that's when the passion for football started, since I was that age. When I knew that I was going to become a professional footballer, well, maybe I didn't know, maybe I knew. In fact, I never had anything else in my mind other than that. But of course, because I was in a very small village in Sardinia where professional football was miles away. It was in another galaxy for me. So I didn't have the certainty that I was going to become a footballer. It was a dream, like many others. And luckily enough, I accomplished my dream.
We're big on mentoring. We believe that children deserve mentors. Can I ask, what was your experience of mentoring? What does it mean to you?
What do you mean mentoring?
Did you have a great mentor growing up, and was that?
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry. I think one of my most important persons in this sense was a professor that I had. Was a professor actually, and also at the same time he was my football coach. And it was great for me because in those years when I was very young and I was trying to get the just guidelines to become a footballer, he just directed me in the right way. It was full of good suggestions, also hard work. But it was so important for me because since the beginning, he prompted me on with the right things to work, and it made me, it gave me a better chance to become a footballer.
In 1989, you signed for Napoli for €2 million, joining Maradona. Tell us what it was like playing with a man like Maradona in the same team. That must have been an amazing start to your career.
That was a bless, actually, because it's of course, when you are learning something, you need to look up to the best people around if you want to be good. And I was lucky because I went to the best in the world, probably one of the best of all the time. So for me, it was such a fortune to have such a football, such a man next to me training, because he taught me so much. I can 100% tell you that without that experience, probably I wouldn't have become the same player. I got so many insights from him, training, playing, and spending time with him, that he made a big difference for me.
Can I ask? He was quoted as saying, Maradona said, "Finally, they bought someone who's shorter than me." In your career, tell us about your size as a factor.
It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. The only reason why he looked taller than me, because he had such a big hair, so full of hair, and he looked bigger than me. He always refused to measure himself next to me. So it's...
Can I ask also, before we move on to the Chelsea years, which I know people will want to hear about, you spent some time at Parma, and I think it's fair to say that during your career, it wasn't always totally plain sailing. There must have been difficult moments. When you were under Ancelotti, you were moved around a bit, and people like Crespo were playing more than you. How do you tackle that frustration as a player of being moved around into different positions?
Well, I'm very pleased you asked me this, because it's very important. And it's very, very important for the people also that are listening to this. The common thinking is that people that they have success. I'm not talking only about me, because there are people that had much more success than me. They believe that they just are born and they have success all the time, which is completely opposite, actually. You have a lot of setbacks in your career, and when I was in Parma, I had a few setbacks, big ones also, when I was playing for the national team. But those are necessary, because those setbacks, they make you better. They push you to improve. They make you stronger as a character, with a character, and so you improve. It's like you are tested, and you become stronger in every single thing, on the pitch, off the pitch, and many other ways. So they are necessary, and people, they need to get used to it, and they need to know that whatever they want to do, and they want to get to high levels, they will fail many times. They will fail many times, but every single fail is an opportunity to improve yourself, and you really need to embrace the challenge.
Good advice. And then 1996, you moved to the Premier League. Ruud Gullit buys you. It's the start of the international Chelsea growth as we know it. What was that transition like to the Premier League for you?
No, it was actually good, because you need to know that in those years, it was the end of the last years of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s. Italian football was very strong. The level of the football there was similar to what the Premier League is now compared to the other leagues. So I was very prepared. I was very motivated. I wanted to impress. These are the things that, in my opinion, made a big difference when I went to the Premier League, because, I wanted to be successful. And luckily, I was in the perfect spot. Wonderful team, wonderful crowd, wonderful teammates. And also, I enjoy playing some small teams with they wear the red shirts, you remember? So it's been it's good. No, it's been a great time for me, actually. Jokes apart.
Can I ask? That was a brilliant era for Chelsea football. Who was your best friend in the dressing room of that team?
Well, of course, I had a special relationship with the Italian players. We already knew each other before. Di Matteo, Vialli, of course. But I think the bond that we created with all the players there was amazing. With the English players, we became very close friends with Dennis Wise. We speak regularly even now. Kevin Hitchcock as well is like my brother. But with everybody, I think is my big brother, Kevin Hitchcock, to be honest. But the key, I think, it was that we really created a good atmosphere between each other. There were a lot of foreign players playing there, but the core of the team was the English one, and they pulled everybody together, and we created a very good winning group.
Can I ask, Alex Ferguson is said to have described you as a clever little so-and-so. And you were known for your creative flair. We showed everyone that Norwich goal where you backheeled it in past Rob Green at the near post. What's your advice? I mean, firstly, how did you put that past him? And secondly, what's your advice to kids who want to be creative on the pitch?
Well, I think, my background, I learned to play football not on the academies. I learned to play football on the streets. So on the streets, you need to, make the most. You need to be... Sometimes you need to train. You need to play football on what's called a clay ground. Sometimes you need to play on the concrete. Sometimes you are on the grass. So you need to adapt, and you need to develop skills to achieve what you want to achieve. So the creativity came from there, I think. Playing there, and using a lot of imaginations when I was playing, and I took it also as a professional. I kept that mindset. I always tried to that's my target. I need to find a solution. It doesn't have to be the one that the coach tells me all the time. Sometimes I can find another way, and that has always been my thinking. And it still is sometimes. So my advice would be, sometimes to let you go, to do what you feel is the right thing to do, and be courageous and do it. Just don't worry if it doesn't work. It's, as I said, it's part of the process to try something that doesn't work, and then sooner or later you're gonna get something out of it. If you think about the Norwich goal, people, they ask me many times, how did you do that? How did you think about it? How did you touch the ball? I didn't have a clue how I did it. I just felt that it was the right thing to run to the first post. Because the ball was too low, I tried to something different, something that in my mind I imagine I saw before somebody doing it. But most of all, I was, I didn't think too much. I tried to do, and it worked. And if I was thinking too much about it, probably you wouldn't have the ball. It was already gone. So that's how it works,
We've watched it again and again today in advance of this. Henry's going to talk in a second about that famous FA Cup run and your hat tricks and so on. I wanted to ask you a question. Over the end of the 90s and the beginning of the noughties, that was the absolute perfection of football. You had a United team at the top of their game. You had Wenger at Arsenal, the top of their game. Can I ask, who was the hardest player? Who were the best players you played against when you were at Chelsea over that period of time?
Well, of course, the best players were with the best team. So, I mean, there were also other very good players, great players that were playing for other teams. But I think those years, the Manchester United and Arsenal were really, really top clubs. It was very difficult all the time to play against them. For me, as a striker, honestly, it was more difficult to play against Arsenal because it was such a tough defense, very organized, very strong. So it was always a tough game. But, it's great time because it was always a fantastic challenge against them. And the game was always, it was always a game that United had to play at its best to win against us, and Arsenal the same. So it was important because in those years we were starting to challenge them, and we're getting better.
You talk about difficult centre-backs. You gave Jamie Carragher the run around a few times, didn't you?
Well, but a few times, you know, if I know which one you're talking about, but a few times he really gave me a hard time too. So it's, but that was my moment, to be honest. Actually, it was my last game for Chelsea, and I wanted to leave with something special. And you know, unfortunately for Jamie, that is a friend, it's you know, he was on my way.
Well, to go back a little to that 1997 Cup run, I was there. I just turned 5 years old and at the ground with my dad when you hit in that 25-yard curler and brought Chelsea back from 2-0 down to beat Liverpool 4-2. You then backheeled it against Wimbledon and slotted it to get through the semi-final. The final at Wembley, there we go, we've got it. They lose 2-0. You guys win. This is, I mean, to show you, this is the great team right here. Talk us through that cup experience. What was it like?
Well, certainly it was a very happy team. Very proud to be part of that team, or be part of that you know, club. You know, we were very, very happy, really. And I think there was a great run, because the majority of us, and I mean the not English players, didn't have a clue how important was the FA Cup in this country. So when we got to the final and we won it, it was something that, you know, we didn't expect such a joy from the people. Will always take with me the day after when we went to the King's Road with the bus, the parade. It was something that I never experienced such a joy. You know, after a football match, I was so excited and pleased to be there and be part of that. So if you ask me about that run, I say I always rated the game against Liverpool. I'm sorry, I'm not picking up on you. I always rated that match, the 4-2, one of the greatest games I played, because the atmosphere that you could feel on the pitch, it was amazing. I feel I have, you cannot see now, but I'm goosebumps as I'm talking about that, because you could feel the electricity, the energy from the crowd coming into us. And, you know, the way we turn it around, it was amazing.
Goosebumps right here too, don't worry.
It's a cool moment, this. So for those watching, we're going to take some questions in about 3 or 4 minutes, so keep them coming in. Gianfranco, there are thousands of questions, so we're going to try and condense them. Many will recognize you on the sidelines as a manager, and you've had spells at West Ham, Watford, Cagliari, Birmingham. You were assistant to Sarri at Chelsea. What type of manager are you? Are you a fiery character? Do you give big team talks? Do you let them at it? Are you a Jurgen Klopp? Are you a Jose? How do you manage?
Well, I like talking. I think, you know, as a coach on the pitch, I've always tried to get a team playing football, you know, creating a team that was able to play his own game, not to worry too much about the others. But that try to, like I was a footballer, I used to try to play my game, not thinking too much about Baresi on the other side, or Maldini on the other side, or Rio Ferdinand and so on. Now, I just wanted to give the best of myself, to prepare myself at the best, to, you know, to give, you know, to play the game, and then, you know, waiting to see whether it was enough or not. So as a coach, I try to do the same. Well, sometimes it worked very well, sometimes it didn't, but that was my intention. And yes, I used to talk a lot, especially individual talk to the players, and you know, it's been good.
Can I ask also, big turnaround? You left Chelsea, you signed for Cagliari, and within a week, Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea, and the rest is history, right? Yeah. First question is it true that Roman Abramovich, he went to Cagliari and he said, I'm going to threaten to buy the entire team unless you bring Gianfranco back to Chelsea now?
Well, the story is this. I think he did approach Cagliari to find whether Gianfranco could be released, right? Because he knew that I had this commitment, and he wanted to see whether it was possible to have me back. So he asked the chairman whether I was on sale. So the chairman said no. No, because obviously he just brought me back and he relied on me a lot. So the other approach, somebody says, I'm not sure 100% about this, but somebody told me that then he tried to ask what was the price for Cagliari. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But some people, they tell me he did so.
Well, I think it's probably time that we get on to some quickfire questions to finish off. But before we do, one more, which is what's next for Gianfranco Zola?
Well, don't know really, to be honest. After last year experience with in Chelsea with the Sarri, and then Sarri leaving, I decided to take a little bit of time, a little bit of distance, and dedicate myself to other things that I was very keen to do. Family and other business that I have around my family. So what is next, I don't know. I'm very happy with my situation at the moment, but if it's something important comes to an important job comes, then I may consider. But at the moment, I'm very, very happy with my situation right now.
Well, no doubt in the meantime, the golf handicap will be dropping.
Well, I have to compete with Shevchenko. So I have to practice very hard.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's a good competition. So some quick fire questions. We've collated some questions we've been sent, some ones we've got. They're all really sharp. So we're looking for a one-word or just a few-word answer for each. I'll start off. Best coach that you've played under?
Arrigo Sacchi.
Gianfranco, who is the most underrated player you played with?
Oh, good question. Oh gosh, wow. Underrated.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I wouldn't go for an underrated player. I would say a very unlucky player that actually played for Chelsea as well for a short period. And if he was there, it would have been a big difference for us. Gigi Casiraghi. He got injured. He would have made a big difference for us.
Well, you then coached with him, didn't you? So you worked together.
Yeah, I know him very well, but also I knew him very well as a footballer. He would have been a big impact on us that year.
Best goal you've ever scored?
Okay, the best one, probably spectacular. The most spectacular one is the one I scored against Norwich. But if you ask me, the one I think is the best is the one against Everton. The lob to Everton.
We nearly showed it to these kids, so I might have to share it with them afterwards. I looked at it this afternoon.
Gianfranco, your weirdest superstition?
No, look, I'm not superstitious. Honestly, although I played in Napoli for 4 years, I'm not superstitious, but I like big time routines. And when I do something, I have a routine, and no matter what, I have to do that routine. So I'm a big routine guy.
Can you tell us what that routine is very quickly?
Oh, for example, when I was playing football, I think, my routine was to get there, and the first thing I would do, I get dressed, and then I would take a book and I would read. I needed to read for at least 10-15 minutes to relax myself. Some people they listen to music. For me, it was reading a book. That would, calm me down. It could put me in the right frame of mind then to go in the last final 30 minutes of preparation of the game.
Most promising Chelsea player today?
Oh, there are a few good ones. Well, I think obviously I like Loftus-Cheek, to be honest. a very, very unfortunate player because he's always had big injuries. But for me, humongous potentials and a lovely guy. I think if he gets, a good spell without injuries, I think he can be a devastating player.
And a final question from me would be best career highlight, best moment.
Well, I mean, one I told you before, obviously, winning the first FA Cup was something special. The other one, you don't mind me saying that, is when I scored the goal with Italy in Wembley against England. There was another very important moment for me because the national team has always meant a lot to me, and that was a really cracking point. And I loved the face of Dennis Wise the day after in training. He was so upset and sad, and I loved that.
Do you have a favourite chant when the Chelsea in the Matthew Harding stand? Matthew Harding? What do they sing?
But blue is the color, is the best. Well, football is the game, so.
There's lots of questions. And it ties into our next game, and then we will let you go. Gianfranco, we've taken up too much of your time.
Pleasure.
For me, you make football so human, and it's why you're so lovely. And on a human question, like, what's your favorite food? Lots of people have said, what's your favorite food?
Well, I'm always being big on pasta. I love pasta in any way, in different ways. So pasta is my preferred dish.
Perfect. Do you like biscuits?
Pasta or pasta asciutta, the way you prefer.
And biscuits?
Well, I don't mind biscuits. I have a good one here, you see?
Ah, that's enormous.
This is the Sardinian version of it.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one, but we'll try it. So it's a very simple game, Gianfranco. All the kids do this at home. You have to put it on your forehead, and you have to try and get it to your mouth without without using your hands. It's like a good heading game.
All of it or half of it, or which one?
Well, you could break it up if you want to make it easier. I'm going to be using this guy here. I'm going for a new French variety.
I do try. Right.
And before you start, this is Zola against Faber.
And this is also, you can see, Andriy Shevchenko did not manage to do it.
Andriy didn't manage to do it.
He didn't manage.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
And Gianfranco, imagine the scene. Across England, there are hundreds of children with biscuits on their face. I'm going to beat Zola. I'm going to beat Zola.
Oh, it's going to be very easy. Seeing the dimension of this biscuit, I think I made a big mistake. But okay, I'm going to try. Tell me when I go.
Okay. In 2, in 1, off you go. You get another go, Gianfranco.
Okay. Okay, let me try again. I did. It doesn't move.
Gianfranco, victory tastes sweet.
Ah, thank you. You did it.
I did it.
Oh my goodness, you're much better than me. Okay, you need to teach me then next time.
I'll be glad to. You let me know the time and place. I'll be there. From Walter and I, and also from my 5-year-old self.
Wow, big one.
A long time ago. I wanted to thank you very, very much for a frankly joyous interview and a real privilege. I think these kids have benefited from hearing a footballer who's wise and gracious too. So thank you very much.
That's very kind.
Your time.
I really enjoyed talking to you too.
Thank you. We wish you a wonderful
Have a nice evening.
Bye, Walter.
Bye.